Hey, I'm Jonathan, and I live in London, England.
Hey, I'm Jeff, and I live in Perth, Australia.
Together, we are Ekko and Sidetrack.
We produce music that sounds like this.
And this.
And even this. This podcast is about music, creativity, and everything in between the giant space that separates us.
Welcome to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
How are you, Jonathan? Welcome. Welcome back to A Band Apart with Ekko and Sidetrack.
Welcome back. I'm good. Hey. I'm good. Settling into my new home, sitting in the lounge room, talking to you. What better way to start a Monday?
And I get to close my Monday out by doing the same thing
But backwards.
in reverse. In my studio, which I must admit has just got a few extra bits in it because it would appear that the Thomases have done some cleaning and now your drums in the bags, they are now in the studio. They've just been placed here.
Okay.
So I'm going to have to find a spot for them. But there might be room at the back of the studio. But
is my drum kit still set up down in the practice room?
Parts of it. I'd have to ask Carl which bits are yours. But because I think Ray's band's been using it as the rehearsal kit.
Cool.
You might want to ask one of the Thomases. But it's nice to be in here. I'm a bit tired as I have been working all day. Worked all day, all night yesterday, and then I've just come back from my little weekend down south, which we spoke about last week.
How was it in the end?
It was really good. It was really lovely to get away with mates, and just kind of hang out, I suppose. Went for a bit of a trail run. Some of my friends are quite avid runners, so I joined them for about 8 kilometers of their 21k run.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was also able to find some time for myself where I sat and watched the waves because there was quite a bit of swell in Margaret River and stuff. So I watched the waves at North Point, which is in Gracetown, and had a coffee and did some riding of my own, and then I picked them up, and then we went to a brewery and met another friend, and it was a fun, wholesome little weekend. We, drank a lot of wine and had lots of conversation, and then came home yesterday and got to have a good chat to my mate Tim in the car. It's probably been a while since we've spent that much time together. Just when you're driving and you're just having a conversation that just kind of meanders all these places.
Yeah.
Is it neander or meander?
It's meander. Because if you meander, Neander is the beginning of Neanderthal.
Yeah.
It's meander with an M for Murray.
Meander. Okay.
Meandering.
Yeah, the conversation is neandering. You're neandering. It means you're Neanderthaling. It's like you're being a primitive man.
You're being a prehistoric person right now.
It's good. It's good just to have a long, extended, meandering chat. Because I realize the people I do that with are you and not many others, because you don't get that much blocked in time just to talk. And it's really great to. Yeah, I would encourage anyone that hasn't had a long conversation with a friend, and on a phone you can do it, but in person it's nice as well. Just either go on a drive or go and go somewhere. We weren't drinking or we weren't doing anything. It was just conversation, and we hit some interesting points, and it was it was really great to connect.
Long drives are good for that kind of thing, especially long drives home at the end of a weekend. You've probably got up to some humorous hijinks, and now you can reflect and laugh at things, and you can get deep, you can get shallow. They're good, man. I used to love driving with people. I think we've had a couple of drives. One I'm thinking of at the moment is when we drove down to Mandurah for a show. And just laughing and yeah, having good conversation. Good conversation is the key to life. One of the keys.
It really is.
One of the keys.
Absolutely. And the ability to have ideas and express them and have a conversation about all sorts of things. I've been missing your laughter, Jonathan. There was a few days last week where I was like, I would like it if Jono was here and we could laugh and be silly. I definitely have a bit less silly time. Yeah. I will just say that
I
have less silly time where you're not here in person. Like, we can send each other stupid messages and we can like laugh on the phone and things like that. But as far as spontaneous jokey joke time, and also time where things can go further than they should in some respects, because for lack of a better expression, the actors I'm working with are not on your level.
Man, I feel similar. Like I definitely feel like there is less laughter. I've had some good. There's less laughter in my life at the moment, and I have needed that over the past couple of weeks. And I actually had a really, really good laugh with Tony on Saturday. So big up Tony Gran Calavera. I really needed some funny times, which was really beneficial to my mind. But I miss you too, man. Like I miss the silliness. I was actually going to say one of the things I was going to bring up today was that the last two podcasts have been quite somber.
They have a bit, haven't they? I actually got some. Someone sent me a message on. I had two messages about the last podcast. Someone giving me some encouragement, just being like, "You're all right, man. Like, you do really good stuff. Like, you should be proud of what you do, and stuff like that," which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
And then one message saying like, "Oh, the conversation you guys had this week was really interesting about creativity and things like that. Like, thank you," kind of thing. But yes, they have been a bit like that, haven't they?
I feel like we need to inject. Maybe when we get to, because we can be very serious. Maybe when we get too serious, we need to have something to inject. Some way to inject humor and buffoonery into the podcast.
Well, I mean, we could set up some segments.
What kind of segments would you want to do?
I'm not sure. I often think that, like, just starting a subject, and seeing where that kind of goes, because it'll trigger off something in your mind. A reason that I think they've been a bit somber is because I've been quite last few Mondays I've been quite tired and thoughtful, so that like my silly, if you were here, I think we'd be a lot sillier, but because I'm here by myself and I'm tired and I'll come up to the studio and I'm all by myself and I'm having a conversation with you, I'm a lot more thoughtful and introspective, I think.
Yeah, and reflective. You're being reflective on.
Yeah.
Especially when you're tired, you reflect on the weekend you've had or work or that kind of thing. You're not really in that. You know how if you're super tired, you can get a bit delirious and we get deliriously funny. Sometimes it would happen to us in the studio if we're in there for a very long time.
Yes.
That kind of thing can only happen when you're with someone, I think, and you feed off each other's energy. When you're on the phone or talking on Zoom, it's not. I don't think you pick it up as well.
No, you're way more likely to just kind of be like, "Oh, okay, well, I'm gonna go to bed."
Yeah, and that's okay too. That's
how would you shoehorn some humor in?
Probably fart into the microphone.
Is there a culture in the world that don't think farts are funny?
Um, no, I think everyone thinks farts are funny, and I think that's um something that connects everyone in the world, no matter what people, how we're separate through culture or geographically. I think everyone is connected through laughing at a fart. I was listening to David Cho on the latest Rogan podcast, which is it's one of the best podcasts I've ever listened to.
Yeah, that's a wild podcast. I think as well, I'll just add a slight caveat. I think it's important that you go back and listen to the first podcast that David Cho did with Joe Rogan, and less so the second one. But if you want to understand a little bit about David Cho, listening to that first podcast, I think it's like 390 something. I remember hearing that when it first came out and being like, oh, I've heard of this artist guy, but I didn't know all this stuff about the Facebook art and all his experiences with drugs and his stuff with Vice and everything like that. But then hearing the podcast he did the other day is so interesting to see where he's come.
Yeah.
And like also the stuff he's going through. Like it's wild.
And he talks about going to stay with I can't remember if it's the pygmies of the Congo or the
Honza people, yeah.
And he's like asleep at night and he can just hear them like farting and laughing. And he's like, oh, like right. They laugh at the same shit and they're just like being silly and entertaining themselves like we do. So yes, I do think farts are funny to everyone. I think you could almost fart at any occasion and there will be one person that laughs. No matter where you are. Like even if you're at like a funeral and like a real somber occasion and someone's like, boop.
If you're at a somber occasion, it'd have to be more of like a boo, like a sad,
like
sadder tone. Oh, it's okay, Michael. Oh my gosh, it was him farting. What do you think makes what's the funniest kind of fart?
I like ones to listen to. I like when there's a large...
Tell me what your favorite fart album is. What's your favorite fart playlist?
I think ones that have when they span a couple of octaves on the piano wheel, so like large pitch range. Usually they go from high, yeah. Ones that go higher and then lower, like that kind of pitch modulation is just funny to me, and I don't know why. Like, I know people will listen to this and be like, "Oh, that's such like toilet humor or fucking
so juvenile."
But there's something still. I really don't know what it is. I think it's just because it's a silly noise. It's such a silly noise.
It is.
That we all know is created through our butthole. And like, they're way funnier than burps. Like, burps aren't funny.
Yeah.
But it's the same thing. But it's because it's coming out more of like a secret hole. That's why it's so funny.
I reckon length. I think also if you can remove the smell for some people, it will become even funnier for them.
Yeah.
That said, I think the smell is an extra dimension of the humor.
I 100% agree. Because when you hear one and it smells bad, like real bad, you're like, oh man, that's fucked. I think the third stage to a good fart, apart from the noise, the smell, and then also the aftermath, the social aftermath with friends. Like, you give each other you tease each other a little bit and you're like, oh, that was pretty bad. You then throw back to that fart. You could throw back to some farts a couple of days, sometimes a couple of weeks later, and it still brings up the humor.
Oh, man. Absolutely. And also, like, you can create a moment with that fart. Like, for example, when me, you, and Josh were in the bedroom in Amsterdam.
Oh yeah.
And we're both all nodding off to sleep. And I just had to fart, and didn't hold back. Just was happy to let it go, and it was quite a large one. But the timing of it, which I kind of underestimated, like we'd all just started to drift off, and then it was just like, "Bo!" It was like someone making like a ghost sound almost, and then we all just started like crack up and start laughing like it was like high school sleepover.
Yeah. Oh, that was funny.
The length of a fart is definitely funny. Like I recently did a very long fart in the presence of a friend, and he had time to look at me, look down at my ass, and then look back at me, and the fart was still going.
That's pretty impressive.
It was really long. I really wish it had have been recorded.
Do you think there's a way to, like, obviously you can hold back a fart, and this conversation is just so different to the last podcast. People will be like, those guys are kind of like really insightful and like, wow, they're kind of like a bit emotionally deep, and then 10 minutes of talking about farts. So do you think, obviously if you want to do a long fart, you can hold it in and kind of let it go slowly? Like that's the kind of fart that I've done, like if I'm at a girl's house for the first time, or if I'm if I'm somewhere that I'm not supposed to be farting, you just try to like you let it out slowly, and that can increase the length. But did you do that on purpose when you did this long fart? Like, were you aware how long it was going to be, or was it just the angle?
I had no idea.
The shape, how you were standing, or like just how everything.
I had no idea. Maybe no, not really. I even try and think of the food I was eating or something. I'd never.
Oh, there's so many variables.
And it was just like, I was like, whoa. Like, I even had time to kind of react. Like, what is... This is insane.
Is this me?
I can't believe
this coming from me.
I can't believe
this is happening. God.
Well, to change the subject a little.
Sure.
This week is a little bit special for you.
Yeah.
Because I have sent you one of my farts, and I'd like you to open it and listen to it. And that's this week's demo. No.
That would be so amazing if you could send a fart, and it would, if you opened a bag or whatever, it made the noise, like that you could capture the sound. I guess that's just like you can just do that on WhatsApp, basically.
Yeah, but there is also something about digitizing the sound of a fart that changes the
humor.
Because there's something about hearing it in the room, in the space.
Yeah. You tried to change the topic, and we just went back into it.
Sorry, no. Well, I will change the topic.
Okay.
It's your birthday this week, Jonathan.
It is my birthday this week.
Will this be the first birthday you've celebrated away from Perth?
No. This will be the second birthday I've celebrated away from Perth.
Oh, yeah, because last year you celebrated away from Perth.
The year before, I think. Was it? Yeah.
Yeah, maybe it's
the year before. We went to an Indian restaurant.
Oh, yeah, with Yessa and Claudia.
Yeah. So this will be the second time. But this will be this kind of, I don't know, I guess it is a bit of a strange one because it's like lockdown and quarantined, and I'm away from you guys, which is a bit strange. But yeah, I haven't really thought about it too much, to be honest.
Yeah, sometimes some birthdays aren't a big deal, and I think like you can be like, oh, I'm gonna go have some drinks with mates, and I'm gonna make that thing like I'm gonna celebrate my birthday. But there's also sometimes you kind of just like on the day, particularly, you can just be like, I haven't really thought about it. It's just another year. I'm not getting too reflective on it or anything. But how are you feeling about it?
I think I'd like to do something. I think we're going to go out for breakfast in the morning with James and Shawnee, and then there was some talk about going to hang out with Tash because her birthday's this week too. But I would like to I'd like to book out a pub or a space, just book some space in a pub and people can just come and I'll just be there all day and people can come say hello. Because
That'd be a good way to do it.
Yeah, because there's a few people that I haven't still seen during lockdown that I would like to see. And I think that'd just be a nice way to do it. Like, I'm not going to have a birthday party. There was talk originally about Tash and I having a joint birthday party, and we would hire out this beer garden in a pub just in Stoke Newington. Yeah, man, I don't know.
That'd be cool.
Birthdays, I've never really felt like, last year when I had my 30th, that was the birthday party that's the biggest birthday party I've had.
Yeah, and that I made quite a point of making that a thing because you've shied away from having parties in the past. That was so much fun, man. I saw some photos of that as I was looking for photos the other day. And that was kind of the that was a really fun party. That was the start of some things and the end of you being here. And
was that it was the 70s party, right?
No, it was Grilligan's Island.
Oh, that's right, man. That's right. Fuck. Grilligan's Island was a sick party.
We had making so many cocktails and
that's right, and making all the pineapples,
the margaritas.
Oh man!
And the pina coladas.
I've got some photos on disposable cameras. I look so drunk in all of them. There's a photo of me and Daniel sitting on the couch, and we just both look so pissed. And
there's some
man. Yeah.
We're breaking the coconut on the kitchen floor.
Yeah, that's right, and jumping around like apes.
Yeah, and then oh man, there were so many moments of that night. Yeah, whoa, huh? Strange how you think about a thing and then you go back there and you're like, oh, and you can almost play by play in your head, especially if you have some photos to remember.
It does bother me, like just thinking about that now. It does bother me that I'm not going to be able to see some of my friends on my birthday. Like, there's people that I would just like to have like a night with. Like obviously you and mum and dad and like my I miss you guys all the time, but like there's some friends that I would see maybe once or twice a month that I would definitely see on my birthday. Or we'd all have drinks together or we'd just laugh and have a solid 12 hours spending solid time together.
Yeah, I think as well, like, a birthday brings people together and, like, it's great to see all the people that you love in one place and them interacting. That makes me always really happy.
Yeah. And I was really thankful to have that birthday last year. Thank you for doing it.
It's all right, buddy. It was a hell of a time. That house has not seen a party like that since, actually, because, there just hasn't partied like that. I no longer live in that house, but maybe I can coerce them to have some sort of a soiree again soon, as restrictions are pretty relaxed down here. Not quite lifted 100%, but yeah, pretty good. So you could have a solid house party and get everyone through. What gift would you like?
From the universe?
Yes. because I've already told you what gift I'm giving you. I'm sending you some stuff, but I've also
I got to look at that
asked you to look
website
at
today as
some-
well, by the way.
Yeah.
What gift would I like?
For listeners as well, what website was that? FrameMyFart.com?
Yeah, frame my fart. What would be cool is if you farted and then they sent someone from the agency out to your door and they like recreated the fart.
With some sort of wind-up toy box?
No, just with another person. He's like, hey, and he kind of looked like you. Like he put on a pair of glasses and was like, hey, I've got a fart from Jeff. I'm like, oh, cool. And he just could play his butthole almost like an instrument, recreating. And I could laugh and be like, oh, that's such a Jeff fart. Like, yeah, I don't really know what I want. Like, as you get older, everything just turns. Birthdays and gifts just become so much more practical.
Yeah, but that's why I ask, like, what would you like, and what are you going to, ask the universe for in some strange way?
I want to find a good bed, and I'm going to buy myself a bed for my birthday. But
Nice.
maybe asking the universe for plants, some good secondhand furniture, like cool secondhand furniture that we can fill this house with. Like, just some good stuff on Marketplace. Maybe some charity shops are open, but not that many.
Okay, let's go a little bit further. What else? So they're practical items that you're going to buy anyway, and they're kind of for the house and they're functional.
Yeah.
What else would you like from the universe?
Maybe some patience with myself.
Pretty functional though. Yeah, some patience with yourself. So some like, what's that gonna? Yeah, what would that look like?
I don't know. That's I don't know. I don't know how to answer that question.
Stick with it. Just like what would the patience look like if you're going to be more patient with yourself? What would that look like? Just briefly, just
being kinder to myself, and being I have quite soft eyes outwardly, but I have harsh eyes inwardly. So I feel like I've probably got some lessons to be learned, like some help. I need help to be softer on myself. And I do think that, our conversation before on Zoom, and doing this book is kind of already like a bit of a gift to help me with patience towards myself.
Do you want to explain to the listeners? Yeah, I tend to agree.
So Jeff and I, with our friend Byron, have bought a book called The Artist's Way by Julia Cameron, which we all heard about on a couple of different podcasts, and it's a way to spark back up your creativity and kind of work out your creativity. And it involves writing 3 A4 pages every day, and reflecting more, taking yourself on artist dates once a week, and a bunch of other stuff. And it's basically like a 12-week book that you read and do all the work to help reignite creativity and get you back on a track if you've, and not even get back on a track if you've fallen off. I think it's just to help you become a better creative.
Absolutely. To reawaken.
And I do think a lot of that writing, I haven't started my morning pages yet, but I'm going to start tomorrow. And I think a lot of that writing early on is going to be pretty is going to have a lot of judgment in it from me to myself. I think a lot of it's going to be me working through a lot of of how I judge myself and how I speak to myself initially. And I think after a couple of weeks, I'm going to almost like a layer of oil on top of a pristine spring water creek. I'm going to scrape away all that shit and to get to some of the delicious water underneath. Because
absolutely.
I think there's a lot of inward judging and a lot of overthinking and a lot of a lot of me listening too much to my monkey mind. So I think that's the first gift. I think that's the first birthday gift I've been given. The gift of doing this with two of my friends and helping each other through it.
Absolutely. Now, you've got that gift and you're working on that gift. What other gift would you like from the universe?
I would like our Flume bootleg to become official and put on DSPs.
Oh, yeah,
that's a gift.
There's a gift. That's
I don't have too much control over.
Yeah,
and I know we're working on it, but I'd like that to happen.
Yeah, I've got some questions to ask about that off the podcast, but that's kind of drilling down to what the answer I wanted, because I kind of wanted, for lack of a better expression, a bit of a wish. Do you wish?
You know what? I do wish, Jeff. But I think I've pulled back on wishing, because wishing is sometimes hoping that things happen rather than avoiding work. And in my mind, I think I wish a bit too much. You're like, I wish this could happen, rather than being like, how do I apply that wish?
But you can wish and then know that you're going to work towards the wish. I think for me, wishing has always been something that you kind of silently hope for and then start putting into place things that might allow those things to happen. But it's good to wish, because
then I wish I wish all the time.
Yeah, do you have any superstitious things you wish on?
So like when I make a wish, I do something.
No.
Make a wish, a falling star.
I wish on a shooting. If I see a shooting star, I make a wish. I've also been guilty of being really stoned once and kept thinking I saw a shooting star, and I'm like, I've seen 3 shooting stars in that area in the backyard tonight.
3 wishes up my back.
Yeah, and then it was just the way headlights hit a certain part of the power lines that kept looking out of the corner of my eye like a shooting star. But I have seen shooting stars, and I will wish on eyelashes as well.
Yeah, I do wish on eyelashes.
And sometimes certain number combinations occasionally.
Yeah, there was an 11-11. I went through an 11-11 stage.
Yeah.
But, I mean, that's just... They're all just... It's just another symbol.
Yeah, exactly. They're just whatever you want them to be.
Yeah.
And I think that's the important thing, is that you're putting something out there into the universe and being like, I would like this to happen. And if you just wish and then just leave it, I wish I was rich, and never do anything about it.
Yeah.
Or like, I wish I was an astronaut and never do anything about it. But if you wish and like, come back to some wishes occasionally and like you can kind of will them into existence because they become something that's important to you. So you'll start to live your life with that underlying goal.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like the concept of a little bit of like Sam Harris's concept of fate, being that if you know enough about yourself, then you can kind of predict what you're going to do in certain situations.
Yeah.
Therefore, that's a sort of fate.
Yeah.
So, which is sometimes why it's fun to buck the trend of what you're going to do. Like, Jeff would always make this decision in this situation. Of course, he's not going to go to this party. Like, and then you just go, I'm going to go. It's almost like the program goes, well, we weren't prepared for that one. Like, we've got to throw some scenarios together. This could be anything.
That can be also applied to something as simple as ordering food that you've never had. Like,
yeah,
getting going a different way to work. Just bucking the routine slightly. Novelty, yeah. Inserting novelty into your life.
Yeah, I think that's really important for inspiration and also for for hope and for little things. Because I believe in that kind of stuff, particularly in the negative. Like, if you worrying is praying for the wrong thing to happen.
100%.
And if and then wishes are kind of praying and hoping that the good things happen. And if you're going to say that wishes aren't real, then you should also throw out worry as well. Like, well, I'm not going to worry about anything because I'm not going to worry about the future. Like, the future is technically a blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
And when you worry, you're projecting things onto that canvas, and then like slowly you can start to fill them in and they become reality.
Yeah. That's like the what's the term? Not manifesting your destiny. Like when you think something's bad going to happen, so you kind of create it. Yeah.
Sometimes I also think that bad thing is going to happen and you can't change the outcome, but if you can get out in front of it enough, you can change your feelings around it before it affects you too much. But you can will things into existence for sure, good and bad. And I think people need to spend more time willing the goodness into the world rather than worrying and willing the badness into the world.
Yeah. Worrying does will the bad. That just creates more disasters in your life.
And also like controlling the narrative around what you're doing and like who you are and things like that. You're writing the narrative in your own head because that's where you're existing. And you got to be sure that like if you're going to read the narrative, you got to be sure that you can also rewrite the narrative.
Yeah.
Because if you tell yourself you're a loser every day, you're going to act like a loser.
Yeah, 100%.
And then you're going to believe it. And then that's just going to reinforce that belief. And you're going to, as I heard on a podcast today, some guy was talking about if you tell yourself enough, and the stories you tell yourself are very important because you can believe them. Therefore, when there's moments for things to change, you're actually working twice as hard to change because you actually overcome your own disbeliefs in stories that you've created yourself.
Yeah. Self-belief is so important, and the stories that you tell yourself, and how you decide to live inside your own mind. And I feel like a lot of people are living in swamps. I sometimes feel like I'm living in a swamp. And it kind of ebbs and flows. I know we talked about last week, like making the decision. It's actually, that was a kind of universal thing. I was having a shit day yesterday at work, and I saw that you tagged my Instagram in the clip about deciding what kind of universe we wanted to live in, and hearing Mum tell us that.
Yeah.
And when I added it to the story, it just kept playing, and it was my own voice saying, you can decide if you want to smile and change your mood of a whole day. And I was in a fucking terrible mood. And I listened to myself I was literally telling myself that. And
Wow.
At first I was like, fuck you.
Yeah.
Not today. You're not talking about today. And then I thought, you know what? No, I'm going to smile. And I was forced to smile. And I just kept forcing a smile. I drank some water, ate a bit of food. And then I tried to laugh again, and just tried to make myself laugh, and tried to get the people I was working with to make me laugh. And I did get out of the grump to a certain extent, but it was just very fitting that I was there offering myself advice when I really needed it.
Yeah, and that's a very literal version of that. And like, it's great to recognize that. And you can also do that to yourself
without the podcast.
Yeah, you can just be like, hey,
it doesn't carry the same amount as weight.
It doesn't. But now that that's happened, you can try and do some of that yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say stuff out loud to myself all the time.
Yeah, it does. You know, we've talked about this before. Saying things to yourself in the mirror helps. Saying things out loud.
I think I'm close to adding some more stuff to my wall. Some little mantras to my wall.
That's good.
Yeah, I've been thinking on a few little things recently, and just add a few more reminders, really, and encouragements for myself, and so that when I go into the world, that I'm that best version of Jeff that I can be. Because it takes a lot of reminding and a lot of encouragement. And if I can give that to myself, then I become my own biggest fan. And that's vitally important. And I think you can do the same thing. Because both of us have this thing where, and I think it's quite an artistic, creative thing, where we're both harsh critics of ourselves, but we can, like you said earlier, we can build each other up. We've got softer eyes for other people and harder eyes for ourselves. But if we can cultivate a place where we can be kind to ourselves and be like encouraging and, you know, allow ourselves to be creative children, then it's going to be a way better world to live in. And not even just creativity, just be like, you're allowed to make mistakes, man. This is allowed to happen.
Yeah.
You're allowed to do this. That was pretty funny how this happened. Oh man, I can't believe this happened. And also, Johnny, like, you know, looking for those little, cheesy as it sounds, looking for those little miracles, you know, whether it's getting tagged in the podcast and getting that message from the universe. It's like, hey man, it's right here. You said this last week.
Yeah.
You know what's going on. You got this.
Yeah.
I think the wish for our Flume bootleg to be on Spotify and to do that is a very worthy birthday wish. So, yeah, that's really cool. I will speak to you on your actual birthday, but I think for now we could wrap this up. We came a long way from talking about farts, didn't we?
We did. See, it always comes around. I hope people listen to this whole thing and go like they get through the fart talk and enjoy the fart talk, because I think there's nuggets of poo and everything.
There's some little nuggets of knowledge sprinkled throughout this podcast. No, but I'm really glad that we talked about it at all, really, because it's all very relevant.
Me too. I do think it's all very relevant, and it's given me more to think about, and I'm excited to start my writing tomorrow.
Yeah, man, it's an exciting thing.
I'm going to go read that first chapter so I can prepare.
Yeah. I'm also gonna head off to bed, and I'm gonna read too. All right, buddy. I will chat to you during the week for your actual birthday, and no doubt dig up some photographs for the celebration. Love you lots, and just another thank you to everyone that's been listening to Paper Birds and all of our music. It really means a lot to us. And we can't wait to share more stuff with you
Hell yeah.
in the future. And
just quickly as well, we
yes.
didn't actually talk about this. I went and was a guest with Ruth Royal on Graphics' live stream last week.
True.
And you can go watch that whole live stream back, which includes Ruth and I performing Paper Birds live, and then a 20-minute DJ set from me on Graphics' Facebook page. It's probably also on ours because it was cross-posted. But yeah, go check that out. That was really fun to go do and hang out with Josh and Ruth and the rest of the gang. So yeah, check that out.
Awesome, man. Enjoy, and we shall see you next week. As always, if you'd like to review us on whatever you listen to your podcast on, that'd be super appreciated. It all helps, and we'll chat to you soon.
See ya.
See ya.
Love you too, buddy, by the way.
Oh, I love you.
Wow. Thanks. Yeah, man.
Bye, man.
Thanks for listening to this week's podcast. Make sure you subscribe to us on your podcast app and keep up to date with all new episodes. They're going to be coming out once a week. We are Ekko and Sidetrack on Facebook and Instagram. On Twitter, we are Ekko Sidetrack. Go listen to our music on Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, YouTube, or wherever your ears consume happiness. Lots of love, people.